Good evening, everybody. Uh, Welcoming you from Baku. It's now 6:30 p.m. here, and most of our guests are from almost same time zone. We have only Daniel, I guess, from Poland, and it's 5:30 there. Yes. Yes. So welcome again to WorldNet Summit. That's happening from 11th of May and will end on 15th of May. So we had 4 or 5 days of great events, starting from different government sessions, starting from different education talkings, and now today we are talking about mostly investment, and we have distinguished guests from different countries. So I would like to give a little information about them. So we have Leva from Saudi Arabia. He's Chief Investment Officer at Dal Venture Capital. We have Daniel from Next Tech Ventures from Czech Republic. We have Dilshot Zufarov from Uzbekistan Venture Capital Association. Angel investor from Azerbaijan, Farid Musaev, and Gaurav Dar, fintech entrepreneur, tech investor from the UAE. So welcome everybody. It's very nice to see you here. And with your permission, I would like to all of you to welcome you and give maybe small, ask you to give small information about you and your company. We can start from Leva if you don't mind.
Hi, Muhammad. Ramadan Kareem for all. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the summit. I will be a very quick update. I'm Leo Abu Khair, the Chief Investment Officer at DAL. DAL, we are venture capital based in Saudi Arabia. We invest in early stage startups focusing on the IT sector and technology, of course. We started in the last couple of years exploring investments with different geographies. Our first investment was in a company in Turkey called Payments. Then we moved for Finland. We invested in a social media tool called Promo Republic. Then we went for Tunisia, Dabshi, and so on. We have other investments. We have one in Saudi Arabia, Caramella. We have one in Dubai, Eventus. And of course, we came to Azerbaijan and we explored the opportunities, the amazing opportunities in Azerbaijan, in Baku. And we have a great initiative and collaboration with the government ministry there. And we hope that after this whole situation going around the world, we'll come back and do further more activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Daniel, you can briefly talk about your company and your investments.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for the invitation for the summit. It's a pleasure to be here and share some experience. I'm here on behalf of Next Tech Ventures. I'm one of the founding partners. It's a VC fund based in Prague. We do post-seed before Series A investments in the technology sector, roughly ticket size 500,000 to 1 million euro. We are pretty opportunistic, to be honest. So we have diversified portfolio of companies. Until now, we have invested in 10 different deals. We have investment in AngelList, which is angel investing platform in the United States. We have a company called Valuations, which is an influencer marketing platform. We have Vilio. It's a kind of marketplace for short-term deliveries. We have a VR studio, actually one opening in Dubai as well. And we have a customer success platform. So anything related to a tech space, I'm acting also as a scout, and I'm going through ex-CIS countries quite often. I would be delighted to come to Azerbaijan as well and see the scene there. Our, I would say, core skills are entrepreneurship, because it's only founders as LPs, and we have a lot of insights into the Western market. So I would be gladly actually to act as a bridge between the East and the West, and kind of give you overview on what is happening on the Western side of the Europe in the VC space. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Dilshot Zafarov from Uzbekistan. Can you briefly talk about your association and their activities as well?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, first of all, for invitation. It's a great honor for me to participate in speech at such kind of summit with such kind of honorable colleagues. My name is Dilshot Zafarov. I'm an initiator and the CEO of Uzbekistan Venture Capital Association, which is founded by private companies. It's a non-profitable organization and it acts as a voice of venture ecosystem and startup ecosystem of Uzbekistan. We act as a development institution. So our mission is to support the development of the venture ecosystem in Uzbekistan by building a bridge between local and global ecosystems to facilitate the motion of knowledge, of technology and capital. As of today, we are focused on 4 activities. The first activity is promotion and highlighting the importance of venture capital to the economy. We have done 3 or 4 road shows. It was before pandemic. And now we organize some online road shows for international VCs. Every week we organize open online pitches on these activities. The second activity is educating and informing. So we organize every month a venture academy in our universities, profile universities, and with angels, with teaching what is the venture capital, what is this, how it works, etc. And every week with our partners, so stakeholders, IT Park, Uzbekistan, we organize startup advice sessions for young people who would like to receive an advice on their activities or mentorship maybe. The third activity is research activities. So we have launched startup indicator and venture indicator. It's market overview of Uzbekistan. It will be the first market research on venture activities to overview. So it's not ready yet, but we are under finishing this research. And the last activity is the protecting and the lobbying of interest of ecosystem in front of policymakers for creating new instruments and vehicles and schemes to expand investment opportunities. For example, we are working now with Ministry of Innovation, Ministry of Finance on project of startup law and on creation on National Venture Capital Fund. It will be like development institution. So we are working to implementing such kind of instruments like crowdfunding agreement, option agreement, convertible loan agreement, and integration of new legal form for our legislative, like limited liability partnership, so that we could create VC funds.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much for your information, and I want to switch to Farid Musaev from Azerbaijan. So you are not representing any company, you're yourself like mostly doing angel investments. So maybe you can continue if I miss something.
Thank you, Mehmet. Hello, everybody. Actually, I'm mostly venture capital investor rather than angel investor. I am investing in venture capital funds as a limited partner and 2 startups directly as an angel investor. My focus mostly is Silicon Valley, and I invest at pre-seed and seed stage, mostly fintech, health tech, and hospitality tech startups. But opportunistically, I invest in other industries as well. Of course, I have invested a very limited number of investments in Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Dubai as well. This is brief about myself.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Gaurav Dar from UAE, you are also kind of individual entrepreneur and tech investor, I guess so. Please give small information as well.
Thank you so much for the invite. I wear many hats, so I'll try and go through it as quickly as possible. I'm the CEO of Marshall in Dubai. We're present in about 20 countries. We're the oldest payment technology company in the region. We started payment technology services 38 years ago. I myself have been doing it for about 18 years. We now have a sovereign wealth fund partner that's invested with us. The other hat that I wear is I am a board member of the MENA FinTech Association, which is a regional association to look at the regulatory frameworks and ecosystems when it comes to the FinTech industry and sector. I also am an advisor to a FinTech fund in San Francisco that's about $100 million fund. I work with 6 incubators and accelerators in the UAE, India, and London and Africa, advising startups and working with universities. And on the investing side, I also am an angel investor from pre-seed all the way to Series B. And we have investment sizes from $25,000 all the way up to $1.5 million, where we've had Amazon following us into investments and SoftBank following us into investments. I'm also an LP in about 5 funds globally. So just trying to sum things up from that perspective, looking at working with startups, investing with startups, growing the ecosystem internationally and specifically regionally when it comes to FinTech. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you very much. And let's not move to other person, and let's start with you. And my question is, what's happening now in your investment activities? Are you still active in this period, and do you still receiving deal flows, or you kind of stepped back and observing what the dynamics are going to be in next 2 or 3 or maybe 6 months?
Specifically to me? Sorry, that question is to me.
Yeah, I mean, we will start with you, and maybe other guys can jump in.
Okay, so thank you for the question. So currently, I have about 50 companies in my portfolio, right? I'm not a VC, but I have a healthy portfolio of about 50 companies over the last 5 years. And I've just done 7 investments this year already. So the answer to your question is definitely I have not stopped investing. In fact, I think I'm going to be investing more this year than I have, on average, what I do on a yearly basis. And that is at every level. What's going to be happening is COVID is a situation which is unique, but that doesn't stop the timeline for the maturity of startups in the past 5 to 10 years to grow and develop to a stage where they require more funding or justify the caliber of having more funding from mature investors or from seed investors. What's actually happened is while existing investments need to understand how they position themselves for the market, from what I am seeing personally, it doesn't mean that new companies with new potential are going to have any less momentum because we are working in a digital framework. By the nature of working with venture capital or working with, in companies that are in the tech space, a digital framework provides the ability to scale or reach an audience, not necessarily that needs a lot of effort to pivot, to change an audience or direction, whether it's B2B or B2C. So what you will see is, what I'm seeing is you see pivots, you see people understanding perhaps costs or redirection of costs when it comes to operating a business, but absolutely not. You're seeing, I'm investing a lot more, and I know there's a lot more big ticket investments that have happened. You look at the momentum of investing as well, very quickly before passing on. A lot of funds have closed out their investment cycles when they were raising $50 million, $100 million funds towards December last year. Those funds in closing have an obligation to deploy capital. And with the onset of more mature businesses going to Series A and Series B, you're seeing that. But at the same time, it might not be the same level of activity should COVID not have been present. But that does not mean to say things have stagnated.
Okay, I see. Yeah, thank you. And I want to ask from Daniel as well, is it the same in Europe, or you are experiencing something different?
I mean, first, when this situation actually hit, we felt that it was a kind of a shock, right? But it was maybe a few weeks or a 1 month period. And then basically, as we are our own LPs, we deployed certain capital to our portfolio companies just to leverage, you know, the time period where before they actually came up with the you know, cost-cutting scenarios and things like that. But actually, as of maybe month or 2 months past, we've seen quite significant rise of new deals coming in, and our approach is actually that we gonna be still investing in, I would say, similar pace as we did before. So there are no changes. We do investments maybe 5 to 7 companies a year, and but it would be much more. I would say the founders are much more diligent or much more tech savvy when it comes to the structure of the particular deal. So I think the COVID situation actually brought up, you know, the focus on things like profitability or sustainability of the business, and everybody actually learned a lot. Not only us as let's say risk takers, but everybody learned a lot about the cash flow, and that's very good in terms of valuations and I would say the longevity of the businesses. So for us, we do investments. There are no changes, and also we support our own companies.
I see. Okay, and I want to ask Leo as well. So Daniel mentioned about valuations and some cash flow understandings and some new metrics. So are you still active in investment, and what has been changed in your in your approach to startups while they are like talking to you or trying to pitch to you? Do you expect something new from them, like in means of statistics, in means of their strategy, and so on? Leo, did you hear me?
Now this is okay.
Okay, we hear you.
Yeah. Now, I just want to say that in these times of COVID-19 and the pandemic and everything, the startups that can manage to develop a business model that can cope up with this hard situation is a startup that's worth investment. And the guys that can put together a business model that can show people that we can still do business in times of crisis are the startups that each investor sitting with us is looking for. Now, we have to admit we are still interested in doing further investments, but everything is going in a slow mode, and this is what is having the negative impact in the whole ecosystem. The slow mode. Startups, they don't have the, let's say, the luxury of time. They need the investment much faster than we make our decisions as investors. Mm-hmm. We take our time, whether we are a VCs, whether we're LPs, whether we are managing a fund, we take our time. This is the nature of an investor. We have so many opportunities we want to explore. We want to choose to invest in the right startups, so we take our time. This time factor is what really hurting the whole circle of investments. We are still interested. We are still looking for startups, mainly looking to solve problems that currently facing most people. And those problems are the sectors of fintech, logistics, health tech, educational technology, and let's say entertainment technology. This are basically what we are looking for. Now, we have a couple of let's say demo days, virtual demo days, for startups that are already started their raisings before the COVID-19. This is not exactly what we are talking about. We are talking about startups that can really now solve current problems or pivoting from their own situation to a new position. So yes, now this is the right time, I believe, that we all need to be real venture investors. We need to shorten our decision time process. I'm talking as an investor. We need to make our investment process much shorter, because time is no more a luxury for any of us. And we need to support our current portfolio. If you don't support your current portfolio in time of crisis, you don't expect from them to yield out the revenues or let's say the success that you want to look for. They all need your support. They all need your guidance, your network, your connection. And I know it's a lot to ask. And we all have portfolio companies, and we all have new opportunities to explore and new opportunities to analyze. But this is the role that we need all to do. From an investor side, we need to act more seriously, much faster. If a decision was taken on usual basis 3 to 6 weeks, it has to take now from 1 to 2 weeks to make a decision. And yes, soon we will announce a couple of investments, new investments that raise up from the COVID-19, and the world will need the bold move of everyone.
Thank you. Farid, what do you think regarding the activities of like in investment side? I mean, personally, are you receiving lots of startups pitches, and what's changed with their approach? I mean, the startups approach to you, and what's your strategy for this period?
Okay, as mentioned before, there was a shock for 2 weeks period, and everybody stopped to make investment. But now, from the beginning of April, I am receiving many startups, but with very low valuations. And let me say a case. In beginning of March, I was dealing with a startup, and their valuation was 20 million, but now they are agree for 8 million, and and I have seen this type of valuation decreases in many startups. And I think it's one of the best time to make investment. And another issue is that here, we are pre-seed and seed as early stage investors, sometimes it's not easy to invest to startups who already raised seed capital. They are not accepting angel investors, but now they are accepting angel money, and I think it's the best time to invest. And since the beginning of the year, I made 6 investments already, and in March and April, it's 3 investments, and the pipeline is ongoing. I don't want to stop. I think it's the best time to make investment.
I'm not sure about the big VCs. Are they also active like you, like angel investors or micro VCs? Because I don't have any reason for the low valuations, because still we have free money on VCs, or it is different. Any of you can jump on this answer to respond to this question, because we have big VCs. They have lots of hundreds of millions of dollars in their commitments as a commitment. Do you think because these startups are like approaching with low valuation of these VCs, unwillingness to invest in them, or why it's happening?
Let me just I want to add something.
Okay.
From a venture capital perspective, from an investor perspective, I don't want to seem idealistic. Yet, if the startup going to convince me to invest because of lower valuation, that's a huge problem for me. And I don't believe that in order to convince me, you need to lower your valuation. We are an industry that the laws of supply and demand should not really apply. The laws of entrepreneurship should apply. the law of venture, adventure, believe in future, believing in the entrepreneur, believing in the business model, believing in the potential of the future. So valuation is not really, I just don't take it from me as an idealistic person, but valuation should be based on future potentials. What your current position is and what is your future potential. Now, if you want to secure a deal through lower of your real valuation, that's desperate. And I'm not sure this is a good sign. That's for me as a venture capital.
I see. Then, because you said about potential, because we cannot predict now the potential, because we are in unpredictable period. That's why for startup it's also very hard to predict. That's why they are not so confident in front of investors. This is my personal opinion. Yeah.
Just one comment here. I've seen some deals beyond Series A actually, where they were kind of more pushed to go for lower valuation than the round before, actually. So they come to us and ask for the bridge, or for, let's say, kind of a follow-up round with a discount or something like, terms which were actually, half or even older. And this brings a lot of distress, actually. So I have to agree with Leva that when you come to board where original founders or original investors actually have the same conditions as you as a newcomer, just because of the situation, it brings a lot of distress on board meetings and stuff. Some VCs, they go after such deals. We haven't done yet, although we might do, I think, one or two. It's a kind of an opportunity run, because you let the company go and then you see maybe beyond the corner what could happen, and you just want to be part of the story. You are not being able to enter the company before, so
I think
very opportunistic.
Yeah, I think I'd like to add to this as well. It's all about see, when you look at large VCs have a mandate. They also have a thesis on which they operate. They're looking at either sectors, they're looking at ticket sizes, they're looking at opportunities. If I'm a fintech VC and somebody comes to me with a $10 million deal, and then 6 months later it's devalued at a $6 million deal, but I was still going to invest in the company anyway, it's a benefit for me. So it depends really, is something outside of my mandate or within my mandate? I also think right now with the way VCs are thinking, it's about where in the life cycle those large VCs are on their journey. Because everyone knows that VCs have to invest up to a 5 or 6 year cycle, and then they have to protect the investments they've already made. So even if they look at their existing portfolio of companies, it might be better right now for them to reinvest in their own companies rather than looking at opportunities, no matter what those valuations are. So I think the perspective from the larger VCs are they will still follow their mandates to invest in good companies, strong founders, and excellent ideas, like Leva is saying. And if it becomes an opportunity, like Daniel is saying, it's great. We'll take those opportunities as well if it fits my mandate, my ticket size, my opportunity to help them grow as founders. So I think COVID has brought about it's as you say in the property market, or you say in a car market, it's a buyer's market right now. It's not a founder's market right now, and that's it might sound crude, but that's the most simple way to surmise it. And I think what has happened is the ecosystem in the regions we are all in right now have all just started sprouting. So it's still very more and more mature people are coming. So all the people sitting here have been spending time and money for years before this conversation, trying to grow the industry with time and money and taking risk, right? Venture capital is risk, whether you're an angel, a super angel, or a VC. And because you're taking that risk, you are trying to educate the ecosystem. Certain money is not going to come back, not because people are bad or ideas do not work. It's because there were gaps that needed to be solved, whether it's regulation, whether it's people not being serviced correctly, whether it's infrastructure. These things will grow. So I think from a large VC, They will continue with their mandate. It just depends on where they are in their life cycle. I think they will still continue to view this region aggressively, but looking at their family first.
Yeah, of course, it's not only startups actually. It's also VCs performance are now being discussed actually because of this devaluation, revaluation things. So we will come back to this question a little bit later again. So I want to ask Dilshot about their. Before asking question to Dilshot, I would say that we made some calculations in our portfolio companies in Azerbaijan. So let's say 50% of startups are surviving. So, around 20% is doing great. I mean, they doubled, they tripled their sales and so on. And let's say 30% of the portfolio almost like default. I mean, they are not existing anymore. So do you have any this type of calculations, any observation in Uzbekistan ecosystem?
Thank you, Mohammed. So first of all, let me just give a little bit overview of Uzbekistan venture or startup ecosystem as of today. So we have some stakeholders on this market. First of all, it's a IT park. It's a governmental structure which is means his activities on several main points. It's residents. We have IT Park has about 400 IT residents, which are which are we don't pay taxes. Mm-hmm. So also they have an accelerator program, IT centers, and IT academy, and the government give big attention to form a new developers and coders. With the program 1 million developers. There is also Ministry of Innovation, and there is forming a new National Venture Capital Fund, which is under forming. As of today, for Uzbekistan, we have about 300 startups, and 80% of them are on pre-seed seed stages. So we have some startup which would be on stage on Series A maybe, and we have so the majority are on pre-seed seed stages, and 70% of them the founders are less than 25 years old. The focus domain of startups are on e-commerce, marketplaces, medical technologies, and education technologies. Mm-hmm. We have a few VCs, international VCs, focused with the interest on Uzbek market. They have already invested on some startups. The whole venture-backed startups raised amount is about less than $10 million. And regarding your question, you know, we haven't finished yet our market research. Mm-hmm. So I cannot answer your question. I'm not ready. The statistics is not ready. It's the first time our association is finishing this research, and maybe in few weeks we will have it, and I will share with you.
Yes, I see. Maybe you can say, Farid, how is doing your portfolio companies? Like you have 10 startups or 6?
Actually, it's 12 now.
12, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Actually, some of these startups suffered a lot. Actually, who are at mostly hospitality tech sector, they suffered a lot because of this travel bans and because of the hotels. But some of them doing average and at very early stage, and these health tech startups are, I mean, in clinical stage, that's in laboratory stage, and they don't suffer a lot because they have enough time to go to market. But some of them, for example, in insurtech sector, doing great actually. March and April was the highest volume, and it depends on the startups. But if we take overall, most of the startups suffered from this situation. But everybody is adapting. After 2 weeks shock, everybody is adapting. But the main problem is that forecasting future is not possible yet. Because of there's so much talks about the second wave of COVID and so these things, and that's the main challenge. Otherwise, everybody will adapt to this stage.
Leva, maybe you can say about your portfolio. Yes.
Actually, and I just want to say something. Everybody is suffering. Even the startups that are doing well, they are doing less suffering. The world is suffering. Investors are suffering. We have LPs that stopped their commitments. Stock markets are going down. So the whole world is getting the virus. It's not just the entrepreneurship ecosystem. It's the oil prices, you name it. It's not about what is the impact, how much the percentage. Is how the real question is, from my side, I see it is what are the startups that they will pivot. You need to pivot. You need to come up with a new business model that cope up with current situation. And I'll give you a live example from our own startups. We have Eventus. Eventus is someone that gave a technology for events. And this is the worst sector that got hit by the pandemic at all.
Yeah,
events.
They have the same.
Yeah.
And they are not anymore here.
They closed a round in April with a couple of local VCs, and they now pivoted into virtual events technology. That's what I mean about who you should support. What is the percentage of your startup portfolio that can adapt to a new business model?
Okay.
This is what you need to search for. Okay. So most of startups will be suffering, even the people that are doing well. I have problems with logistics. You know, logistics, we have huge companies like Aramex, DHL, Samsung, huge companies suffering in doing logistics, in delivering the goods and the e-commerce products. So we need to see startups that can pivot to a new business model and can cope up with the new situation. Most of our startups, I believe they will continue their journey, and they will pivot, and they will do good, and they will survive. I believe they will survive. I didn't find any problem in any of our current startups. I'm talking about future ones. We need to tell them, even if we invest, you need to pivot your business model. Now, I just want to say something. The adhan will come now in Saudi Arabia, and I'm fasting.
Yeah, of course.
So I might leave for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I will break my fast, and I will come back.
Yeah, of course.
Let me, Karim, let me add a few words.
Yes, of course.
As I told you, so in this, we have I don't have for the moment the whole market overview of the market, of the Uzbek market. But that I wanted to tell you that after pandemic, so we had a lot of startups who have pivoted their project into education technologies and medical technologies. And I see a lot of angel investments, but that I would not tell them business angels. I would tell them cowboys, Uzbek cowboys. As I know, in venture market, when you invest without structuring the deal, because we don't have for the moment a culture of investing, it's implementing also. So when you give money and you structure the deal orally, so as I know, it's called cowboys deal. So I see a lot of cowboys deals because the moment there is a demand for this. And for example, I know a few big startups like Express 24, MyBazaar, etc., logistics startups, and other marketplaces. They have tripled their activity. And so education technology and medical technology is a two domain which the activity was tripled, and I see a lot of
yes.
transactions.
Yeah, we have same trend in Azerbaijan as well. Yeah, so it's education and it's more health technologies and so on. Yeah. So do you want to add something, Daniel, from your side?
Similar case, we ceased
Okay.
on operations in States. That was the travel business. We kind of pivoted to B2B actually in 2 weeks together with founder. It's what I wanted to mention actually is that especially in this particular case, the founder was hit from the, let's say, psychological effect rather than the product or the market. And we also give founders this kind of support as well. So I would rather stress this out to give not only, the network, product, and these kind of things, but also things from the psychology perspective, that actually we stand behind the founders. He coped really badly, and then he could stand up on his knees back again in few weeks. And actually, we also have one edutech company which was not, that was like average, I would say, performance before, and suddenly it became like #1 in the whole region. People eager to learn mathematics online, and we betted on this company like 4 years ago, and they were still struggling, and suddenly they took this opportunity. Apologies, and suddenly flying. So just confirming what these guys have said.
Thank you. Gaurav, are you able to monitor all of your 60 startups that you said in portfolio? Do you have any methodology to check their performance, to check their current conditions? How are you following there now? Follow-up. What's your follow-up system?
So what happens is there's a certain sector of companies which you work with at different time allocations. So it all depends. So for example, some of the startups that I have that are fintech based are more strategic on a day-to-day basis. So I can help them with introductions, bring them into conversations with ecosystem players, either from my role as a mentor advisor to large financial institutions or consumers of financial technology. So that automatically has about 40 portfolio companies already in there. So, depending on what stage those companies at, because I invest in pre-seed all the way up to Series B, certain companies don't need much of my input once they're past Series A, Series B. They might take 2 hours a month from me. They might take 1 hour a week from me, or 1 hour every 2 weeks from me. But the ones that are younger in idea formation, product validation, minimum viable product stages, those are the ones that take back from me. So each stage either is self-reporting on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis. The younger ones are ones that take more of my time because they're in ideation phase before they get mature or have larger tickets, and then have a corporate structure where innovation becomes routine, product sales cycles become very clear. So it's about the stage of the company I'm at. So I'm lucky that a lot of my investments are quite on either the stage at which they're performing MVP, so I have to wait for market to go out, or they're at a mature stage. Very few are actually in the middle of being semi-mature, where that becomes a balancing act. So it's not easy managing the portfolio, but when you're writing much smaller ticket sizes, it's too early to be involved too much. When you're writing larger ticket sizes, you're involved a lot more, because to the point where you have to do it, and as the company gets older, to the point of what people like Daniel has pointed out and no one else has pointed out just yet, mental health of founders is a huge huge problem that's not ingrained from day one. The burnout, entrepreneur burnout is a real thing. It does happen. And if you don't look after mental health or support these companies from not just money or access to resources, if you don't support them, the company will fail no matter how much money you throw at the problem. So I think COVID is very interesting from that time. And where we've seen companies in my portfolio that have seen very sharp dips in daily transaction volume, dipping by 30% to 40%. But after the community, the investors came around and said, what do you need? How can we help you from space? Don't worry. Don't hurt yourself from a physical point of view. They're now back up to double what they were doing before, because they had the space and comfort and support that they could take the time to pivot, take the time to build. The investors would put money. We've had a couple of deals where one of my larger investments, an excellent company, they recently had a major investor who they've been talking to for 8 months pull out at the last minute. At the last minute, literally for 8 months, with letter, with everything, and major investor. Mm-hmm. And what happened was, the guy called me up on the day. He says, Gaurav, you're one of my phone calls. I've called all my investors. Unanimously, the next day, he had funding secured in 48 hours for the next 16 months from his existing investors. They said, listen, we believe in you. We believe in the founder. We know this will work. Let us support you. What else do you need? Don't worry. So this is where, that personal touch of what Daniel is saying, what Leva is saying, and what, non-cowboy attitudes of what Disha is saying. These are important factors. It's very personal. So it's very tough to manage 60 portfolio companies, but I love it. So when you're passionate about something and you're genuinely involved, it's a bit of an addiction. You don't worry so much about how much time you spend on things, because you're genuinely involved. And when you're spending your own time and your own money on something, it becomes a relationship, right? The years melt away.
You have skin in the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Leva mentioned a little bit about that LPs are also not they are not also enjoying this time as ventures and all the startups. So maybe Farid, you are LP in some companies. Are you asking too many questions to the GPs? What's the relationship between now with LPs and GPs? If you run VCs to these guys who are running VCs, are you having problems with capital call and other stuff that LPs and GPs having on daily basis actually?
Okay, personally, I don't have any problem with my commitments, but of course, when we discuss with GPs, they mentioned that some other LPs has some problems and uncertainty in the market. Because of uncertainty in the market, they decline their commitment. And,
okay.
We are. It's normal, and most of the LPs, especially high network individuals and family offices, lose much money at this after COVID-19. Therefore, I am forecasting some more declines in upcoming months from the LP side, I think. And personally, I declined one of my commitment, not because of my situation, because of the situation of VC's country.
Okay.
I see the country is going in a very bad situation, and I don't think they can recover in 2 or 3 years. That's why I declined to make investment at this VC, because of their economic situation of the country, not VC.
What about you, Daniel? Do you have problems with LPs or? Are they asking too many?
We are in a kind of a special situation as we are LPs to ourselves.
Okay.
So I'm committing to myself and the other partner in the fund. But what I can confirm from other actually sources is that the LPs are much more active, actually, much more than before about the portfolio companies, and they support the founders with their time, and because they kind of feel that the risk is offloaded a little bit, and they are more, I would call it, the game is more about like a sweat equity, I would say. So they put a lot more sweat into the deals, which has not been that much visible before, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to add something, Gaurav?
Sorry, so I'm an LP in about 5 funds, one in Hong Kong, 2 in the United States, 1 in India, and 1 based out of here. And as an LP in these funds, you just have to, understand where you can contribute and where you cannot contribute. There's one of the funds, for example, I'm an investor in California, is a healthy food technology fund. I have other healthy food technology investments, but that's not where I operate or have synergies or connections. So all you can do is read the report and ask them if you can help in any way, opening doors or connecting the things. But so, there's an artificial intelligence accelerator that I'm in Hong Kong, but that is on autopilot. They're very young, very, very pre-seed companies, and they're doing what they're doing. So as an LP, you really just have to know if you can contribute or you can't contribute. And I think you have to have the conviction that the GPs and the operators of the fund, you trust them with your money from the time you've committed to be an investor. So you should trust them that during this time, they have the knowledge, skills, and capabilities to move forward from here over that 10-year cycle or 7+2 or 7+3 cycle that you're seeing a return. So I think as an LP, you really should trust your GPs and be genuinely involved where you possibly can. But other than that, it's venture capital for a reason.
Yeah,
we're aware of the risks associated with this.
Yeah, I mean, high risk, high return. Exactly. So, Dishot, I have questions regarding your startups, like the newcomers. Are you talking to them like actively? I mean, are you asking them to wait for some period, or you advise them to start now because it is the best time to start the startups? What's your conversation looks like nowadays with newcomers?
Thank you, Ahmad, for your question. So, we have in Uzbekistan, we have 34 million of population of people. It's more than a half. It's rather 70% of all Central Asian region. Mm-hmm. And after pandemic, in my humor mind, about my humor calculation, about less than 1 million new new peoples have arrived to online solutions. And when there is a demand, so a lot of young people, they can come with their new ideas, but their ideas are not validated. So what we suggest them to do is to look for other countries, how it works, and if there is a success story in other countries, there is a probability that it will work in our country. When the people come with a new idea, for example, as of today, we have how many kind of sport you have? We have in the world 2,000, more than 2,000 kind of sports. And when the young people comes with a new idea that there is no in the world, so you have to ask more questions. So as of today, then in Uzbek market is not full of startups. So we suggest them to look how it worked or in other countries. So, and for the beginning, we suggest to bootstrap, and we teach them how they can start their startup without money, with a partner, etc. There is entrepreneurs, startups, founders, and there is developers, coders, founders. So I see that there is a lot of coders, developers, founders, but they don't have a partner, an entrepreneur. So they don't have the skills, entrepreneurship skills. So we try to teach them marketing or like entrepreneur skills, and to start with bootstrapping.
Okay, my next question is mostly about choosing the best way to multiply your investments, like in the future or in the coming future. So let's say we have two options to invest in startups that started now, because we all say that it's the best time to start business, or to advise the startups to exit very fast. So which option is like more preferable to you as an investor? So because of uncertainty, some investors and some strategic like advisors thinking that it is the best time to exit. If you have any buying offer, any acquisition offer, you should do it very fast. Is it? What do you think about that like ideas? Leva, you can start if you want.
I'm not sure if there's so many exit opportunities in the times of crisis. I'm not sure. I didn't hear about it. I know there's so many falling cases. I know so many bankruptcies. I know companies letting out employees. I know so many unfortunate scenes will happen during the time of pandemic. Now, if someone startup tell me there's a time of acquisition, I would doubt the price that will be paid. I'm sure it will be much lower priced, because the time of pandemic, and I love the terms Goran used. It's a buyer game now. It's a buyer time now. So if you want to do an exit, you are losing, or you are desperate that you need someone to save you. That's the only thing I would say that there will be a potential exit. I think the VCs should consider the 80-20 rule in their real activities. And with the pandemic, with the uncertainty, and with we are not knowing nobody, even, and I'm talking about Liwa. I'm not sure about other people, with the respective panelists. Me, I don't know what will happen, and I don't know when it will stop. But I know one thing for a fact: it will stop. It will end. It's how you can survive this time for the longest time. The 80-20 rule, from a VC perspective, I think 80% of your future decisions should be for new startups.
Okay.
You should invest in new startups, and 20% should go to support your current portfolio.
Okay. Okay. So I understand. So a little bit to elaborate the question. So from my perspective, I have to decide as an investor. From investor perspective, I have to decide to focus on current portfolio to help them maybe to exit to some big companies, or to focus on new opportunities. I mean, that was the main question. So Leva answered his opinion. That's the question regarding your positioning nowadays. Are you focused on new opportunities, or you are trying to help the current portfolio? Because we know that there were lots of new the brilliant technologies that came out from 2008, 2009 during the recessions. So that's why I'm asking this question do we still have these opportunities as well? Farid, you can start.
Mohammed, actually, I would suggest both of them because it doesn't make any problem if you focus both sides. And of course, this depends on the how many startups do you have at your portfolio, and how much of them are in trouble and how much of them needs your help. If you have a very big portfolio and you have commitment to limited partners, and big part of your startups are suffering right now, you have to focus on your existing portfolio, because these are the most important things, and you have commitment, and your future success will be based on the success of these startups. But if you have very limited portfolio and not big part of that suffering from this situation, and they don't need the help, of course, definitely you have to focus on the new startups to make new investments. And as you mentioned, many best startups started in 2008 to 2010, and it's time to take this opportunity.
Yes. Daniel, what do you think?
I mean, of course, you have a bias for your own family, right?
The ownership bias, yes.
So we have this like inner circle, helping portfolio companies, but it doesn't actually mean that every time there is a problem, they can come back to us and we will solve it. But that's kind of one of our internal rules, that actually we create some kind of a bond and a family. For us, it's not just about the money. We are not like traditional VC firm, with the high returns to the LPs. On the other hand, just to be honest, in recent 2-3 months, I've seen much better deals than what we have in portfolio. And just because that, for example, we didn't have enough ticket size, or we were not able to join the round, we kind of lose the deal. So it's a kind of double sword, two coins. I mean, one coin, two sides of the coin game. But what we do if we don't have actually the opportunity to invest ourselves, and we did already the due diligence for the team and the market and so on, the other family what we have is actually the bunch of other VCs or angels we can recommend the company. So it's a kind of I will send to you already due diligence deal, and you can help me some other time in the future when I need. So it's creating this investment families. That's, I think it's very important as well. So it's just not about us, but also the others.
Thank you. Ralph, do you want to add something?
I think, again, I think I brought this up a few times, so in danger of repeating myself, I think it's just about the stage of companies, right? I don't think it's about, yes, we'll always be, like Daniel says, you'll be always biased towards your own family. But if you have a company that's doing well, that's asking for a round of funding, and it's doing very well, yes, you'll reinvest in that company, and you won't get, persuaded by another company coming in if the idea is not at the right stage. If I have an opportunity that's growing or pivoting or requires growth, you won't forsake your existing family for a newcomer just because it's potentially a good idea. But however, if someone turns around to me and says, hey, listen, one idea is not unstable, it's doing well, it's just going to take longer to grow, and there's a new opportunity which is growing 100% month on month, I'm going to put money into the new company as well. I am, because for the name of the game is, if an opportunity comes to you that's good, you'll take it. But that's why I said, it's at the stage of the opportunity that is relevant for any of these conversations to happen, for people to make decisions. But the new opportunities are not dwindling at all. They're still coming a lot. Like I said, the number of companies you're going to see from this region, where I can report feedback from Egypt, you're going to see a lot of new startups. From the UAE, you're going to see more mature startups. From Saudi Arabia, you're going to see more mature startups. From Jordan, you're going to see startups moving from Jordan into other parts of the ecosystem. And you're going to see in Lebanon and Iraq, you're going to see some superstar companies that have been born out of sheer need of desperation of services and have had no choice to facilitate and the ecosystem there to grow or to change. And that will work in Saudi, that will work in Dubai, that will work in Cairo. So it's definitely an interesting time, but month on month growth, if someone's doing 300% or 100%, you will look at it. You will be tempted.
Definitely. So I remember someone mentioned about the quality of startups like getting high. I believe it is because of like maybe because of this lost jobs, lots of jobs, like people lost their jobs. And is it the same everywhere? I mean, in Azerbaijan, we still don't observe this trend. Everybody's still in their corporate life, and like more qualitative engineers and entrepreneurs, like potential entrepreneurs, are still in corporate big companies. How is in your countries? We can start from this shot as well.
Sorry, I had some technical problems. Could you repeat, please, your question?
Yes, my question is like we were discussing the quality of new founders. So we are having more qualitative startups coming because of they left their jobs, they lost their jobs. So in our case, we don't observe this in Azerbaijan, but I heard in many countries they have now more qualitative engineers, more brilliant founders that coming and establishing their startups.
Okay. So in Uzbekistan, as I told, about 300 startups, and the founders of the half of them are about are working already somewhere, and this is at the same time are launching the startups. So today they have, as I told, the majority of them maybe they have lost their job. It's normal, and they're focused on their startups. But they think that without money, they cannot do anything. So we try to explain them. So the money is not the essential factor to startup to launch startup. That there are another instruments. But I see in the market there is in the market a lot of startups they have stopped. And regarding the migration from lose the job and start up, no, I don't see there more of it.
Okay. We have, yeah, Kuraf, you can say something.
No, from my perspective, we're seeing job losses at Careem. I think they announced a 30% cut, and other people were announcing big jobs. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the people who are losing their jobs are the talent that people want to recruit into companies, because it depends where they come from. Even if they are from Careem, it doesn't mean that they were the people you want are the people that are still at Careem. Maybe not necessarily. It might be that some good talent is left, but it's not obvious or immediate. And I think what you'll find is it depends on the ecosystem. So in an ecosystem like the Middle East, maybe people want to go back home. Maybe they want to start. I don't know how much people are, from a corporate life, unless they're very white collar, extremely high income bracket, almost HNIs that can either afford to work with startups that don't have funding or have limited funding and want to do that for the next 5 years. Other than that, the category is people need income to survive. And if they're going to be doing that, there's no way that they are going to stick around for that. Maybe it will in the lower percentile, but it'll be in this ecosystem, in this region, I think less than more when you're looking at the expat population, and of course in special cases like Egypt, which have 95% local populations, they will look at innovating or doing something new. So it depends on the demographic as well you're looking at, I think. So top quality people, maybe they won't be affordable also to startups, right? So whether it's for high equity or whether it's for high salaries, you know, it depends. People who are used to very high positions don't always equate opportunity with the day-to-day lifestyles that they lead or what they want. So it really depends.
Okay. If someone wants to.
Yeah, I want to say something, Mohammed. I think we are in filtration process now. We are filtration time. So I believe a quality startup will be coming more, and I totally believe that there will be more quality startups coming more to the funnel of our initial process, screening process. And I can see this because I've seen more startups coming from Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. Nonetheless, I believe there's what we call it untapped market. There are still untapped markets like Uzbekistan. And I was invited for Uzbekistan for an event. It was canceled for the COVID-19. I never been there, but it was in March. But I'm sure there's untapped markets. There's untapped opportunities. Azerbaijan is an untapped market. And you know, we came to Azerbaijan, and now we follow a new channel now in Azerbaijan. Now we are going to channel our investments through Payments, our startup. So Payments will be our investment arm in Azerbaijan. So there's untapped opportunities, untapped potentials. And with COVID-19, I think more quality startups will be coming.
Okay. So we have several questions on YouTube channel. So there are more technical questions like, what are the main 3 questions you ask the startups? I don't want to ask this question. So another question is, so we responded this question. We have one question: what percentage of your meetings lead to the term sheets? I mean, what percentage of your meetings with startups lead to the term sheets? I think it's also a technical question. It depends on, I think, on investment thesis and on fund strategy. In our case, I guess we invest in 2 out of 50 startups because we don't have too many startups here in Azerbaijan. Maybe you can, if you want, you can respond to this question. I know it's a technical question, yeah.
Well, I'll give you 2019 figures. We get exposed to around 600 plus opportunities. We filtered out for due diligence around 40, and we ended up investing in 7. So you make the math.
Yeah, 1 to the 100, I guess. Yeah, almost.
And that's before COVID.
I see. Yeah. Daniel, is it different in your case?
Not much, to be honest. We are roughly 550. We invested in 3, so it's even less. But towards the meetings, like I personally, I do go by the founders. You know, it's like it doesn't have to be the love on the first side, but it has to be kind of you know, chemistry-driven relationship that you actually can believe the particular person. So that's the first meeting. The second meeting usually is about, you know, the product dive, a little bit of tech and market potential and the team, whatever the team can be. And usually on the third meeting, we can say whether we are interested or not on how to form the syndicate. But the first meeting happens, you know, 1 in 100, 150 opportunity.
Okay. Yes.
I think also just from the other question that you got from YouTube, I think just very quickly, I think we can all agree on the same metrics for choosing good companies. You know, when someone's like, oh, what do you look at? What are the top 3 things you look at when you're looking at a potential company to invest in? You know, let me just answer that very quickly. Yes, you look for somebody that has segment knowledge, okay, and whether the idea is new or not. And if it's new or not, that's okay. It's just about how you're approaching the idea. The second thing is the team. If you're a single person, no person invests in an individual. You invest in a team. So if you have one person running a business, no VC or angel who is mature will invest in you. You have to be a team, and you have to be a full-time team, not a part-time team where you work in the garage on the weekends. There's blood, sweat, and tears 24 hours a day, because that's what someone who believes in you and believes in your future potential wants to keep investing in you, not one time, but many times, right? And the third thing is, are you coachable, right? A lot of people find that if you're not open to understanding that perhaps there are more people with you with less hair or gray hair or experience than you, then your business is never going to be able to pivot, change, learn, or adapt the way it needs to, because founders believe I should be the CEO of the company or I should be in charge. No. If a person is not coachable from day one, that means a founder should be a founder. It means that the founder doesn't have, someone else can be CEO, someone else can be CTO, someone else can be your growth strategist. You have to be coachable. Without these three basic things, everything else will fall away from those 600 companies and will not land up in that 40 at all. So that's the basic three things.
Mathematics. Okay. Maybe. Okay. And maybe last question to all of you regarding remote, because we all are now remote. I mean, I don't know. Are you already fed up with these conditions or not? Because I mean, it's hard, because at some point you want to touch, the people. I don't know, to shake the hands, to feel the person. I mean, are you okay with these conditions? To what time? I mean, or are you trying to add some different aspects to this remote business? What's your remote strategy with like startups, working with startups, follow-ups, with investment periods, and with relations with GPs and so on? I mean, I'm honestly not happy with these conditions, even though everybody's like admiring and glorifying the remote is the next big thing, but I'm not a big fan of actually remote. I want to hear each of your position. Yeah. Level. Yeah.
طيب, I'm sure you are not happy because you're not an HR manager, Muhammad, right? Because HR managers are not happy. And it's not that. But listen, I believe we should thank COVID-19 for proving that people can really work from home. People can do amazing things because technology is enabling us to do amazing things. We need to implement more technology in our way of doing business. Now, that does not mean that we should be at home. We are being at home because we are asked by the governments and are asked by the health authorities to stay at home until the pandemic is somehow being controlled. Nonetheless, because of the crisis and because of the technology, smart people are coming with smart solutions to do business in a different way. And this is a real opportunity for all of us to start focusing on what really matters. So working from remotely is quite great opportunity to spend more time with your family, and that's a virtue. That's something, a plus. I call it for COVID-19. We're doing our business. We are still doing face-to-face meetings with startups. Last week I met around 8 startups, and we had one demo day with 12 startups. So we are still doing the business. Now smart people will come with new solutions that will enable them to have new opportunities and new startups and new investment opportunities for VCs to invest in. So I love working remotely. I know this time will end. I know it will end. We are humans. We need to go back to the real life. And I love working from home.
Thank you. Yes. Who else? Yeah.
I can comment on this because I've been a digital nomad for 20 years. and I basically live remotely for many projects. But what I can understand from many people, this is like a new situation, and I think the balancing would be a key here. So everybody now can put their own choices and make their own judgments in terms of preferences, right? Before you thought you should do or you must do things. Right now, you know you can. Okay, so for the meeting, for the purpose of business, for whatever, it actually saves a lot of time, effort, costs, and productivity. Has been facing not actually that serious issues. And I have to agree with Lava that people will put a lot more balancing into their life, and the COVID-19 actually will remove a certain stress out of our society that you you basically spend in cars, waiting in a line, being in the office with the people you don't like. You just do your job and then you can focus on something else. That's my take. So that actually creates a lot of more freedom.
Thank you. Great answer. Yeah. Arif?
Can I add some?
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. So in my mind, remote working is good, but the real ideas, creativity comes when you work on team, when you feel other member of the team, and I trust on this. Another day, I have visited a local startup, and I saw that a founder of startup, and he organized remote control, but 8 hours a day, every team member, he's connected on with camera and with a special monitor, and they can see another all the team members, and this monitor is connected 8 hours per day. So when one team member, he works, he looks another member what is just to seeing that all members are working on the same time. And if when you work on the same time on the team, when the idea is come, you can discuss immediately. When you schedule a time, the idea, a new creativity idea, you can lose them, because the new idea, he comes, and if you cannot catch this moment, you can lose it. And on this time, when all the people are connected all the time, 8 hours per day as work, so they can discuss in as done. When I know that I can ask my colleagues by shaking a head, shake my hand, so it's great. So I think it's good, but also there is a negative components too of remote control, and there is some rules of enabling this kind of creativity and reserve. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Farid?
Yeah, actually, meeting face to face is the best, and any Zoom or Skype cannot replace it. But since this venture capital thing is global, and for example, for myself, I work with many funds in Silicon Valley, and now we are making all demo days and other meetings via Zoom, and anyway they attend the meetings via Zoom. And if it's not the case, I have to fly to San Francisco and meet these people, or attend to the demo day. And I think it helps a lot to connect it via Zoom. And I like this remote thing, actually.
Okay. Raf?
It's been very interesting because my business is a hardware and software business. So it's been an interesting time to try and work with teams in the office in a limited capacity, and also externally with teams. And technology, yes, you can work remotely, but from an investor point of view, from an LP point of view, I think the one word is relevance. It's forced anyone who's pitching you to be very relevant, because you can't, the opportunity now is only digital. So whereas I used to go to a conference or I'd go to a meeting or I'd meet someone for coffee all the time, you know, what's happening now is I'm here. I'm in my living room with all of you, and it's forced everyone to not talk nonsense or talk about things which don't make sense. Someone has to really think, Gaurav is going to see what I'm showing him, and because I'm not there to explain each piece to him bit by bit, what I want to explain to him has to be very clear. So it gives the opportunity that people who can communicate and are relevant and are efficient, right, will be the ones that automatically also, you know, you don't have to hold their hand. They can communicate clearly, their ideas, they're clear, they've thought it through. It immediately provides me clarity, that relevance. So that's what I like about that's what I like about this. It's tough to operate a business remotely, but I'm liking from an investor point of view that someone sends me a deck and immediately I know in my gut that now I just have to evaluate the team. I have to ask them strong things about the technology stack, and I have to look at the potential of the numbers and the market opportunity and the scale. But immediately I know this is clear. So I like that this is forcing people to be clear, but I'm not liking the in-person. I'm a people person. I like interacting with people physically over food, over in different countries, traveling. I travel as much as possible because I enjoy culture. And culture is something, unfortunately, you cannot consume digitally. You know, that's the only thing I miss is part of this journey as an investor is learning about different cultures and how they structure businesses. It's different in Hong Kong. It's different in Georgia. It's different in India. It's different in Silicon Valley. And that's where you really learn. That's where you really understand. So that's the only thing I miss, really, apart from that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time, actually. I want to thank all of you. We actually had some questions, some technical questions in YouTube channel and Facebook channel. So some of them are more focused on Azerbaijani innovation program and so on. I will respond to all of them actually by myself because it's purely Azerbaijan related innovation ecosystem related questions. That's on my side, so I'm committing that I will respond to them. But the other questions to our guest, you can ask again. We will try to send them via email, and we will ask them maybe if they have time, they will respond to them. But for now, I want to thank you again. Thank you for your time, and let's stay safe and healthy and keep in touch. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Nice
everyone.
to meet all of you. Thank you.
Bye.
All the best. Stay safe.